So you're not sure where she is, but you know where she was last seen. And the black carriage rocked out of the western gate and took you back to the gates of Barovia, which you noted just from observation weren't shut, despite the fact that it's relatively late in the evening when you return. So there appears to no longer be an active curfew, at the very least.
Did we see any members of the watch on our way to the inn?
No, not particularly. Everything seemed pretty quiet and deserted. And you've headed back to the Blue Water Inn. The Martikov families, so Unwin and Danica, were pleased to see that you were safe and that you were back and that there was no harm had befallen you in all of the dramas. They'd obviously made it out by turning into ravens and flying off with their various children in their grip. And you've sort of retired for the night. So it's the following morning. So it's the morning after the Festival of the Blazing Sun, revolution / political anarchy. You get up. Etherdwe, so Zephyr's out. Etherdwe has already got up, had breakfast, and headed out with Bram and Bray, Martikov, the twins, to see what opportunities lie in an environment of liberation / political vacuum for a young thief and his enthusiastic apprentices who've recovered from the monkey murder episode a few weeks back. What would you like to do? You all slept reasonably well, largely untroubled by Vash woke up in the carriage on the way back, having largely not really recalled very much of...
I think I might need to...
You guys okay? You good?
Also.
There's a power socket behind you as well, Jesse. There's an extension cable behind you. You just need to plug that in. If that's...
Swap seats.
But there's a power extension cable behind his chair. Just needs to plug it in. Yeah, that one. So, what would you like to do? So you're at the Blue Water Inn. You've had a decent rest. You're fully restored of all your spell slots and assorted goodness.
I think we... Bash will look at everyone. Right, so what the hell happened? I don't remember a damn thing.
Strahd is pretty indifferent to our existence, which I count as a win.
It's quite surprising with me in the party, but okay.
We understood that Strahd definitely knew Vash was there.
Oh, yeah. Very much so.
He knows exactly your way.
Yep, very much so. You got carried down to dinner towards the end of the meal, unconscious, with Strahd going, oh, he is in the wardrobe. Who knows why? You've met Gertruda, who didn't seem desperately unhappy to be there, didn't seem to be obviously brainwashed, seemed to be, pretty chilled out, hanging out at Strahd's place. He plays the organ. You got offered nice food. And yes, he's asked you, he thinks that the key to releasing these mists and releasing his being trapped in this place is to get the 3 gems.
Us freedom himself.
And we were promised freedom afterwards, blah, 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 blah.
Would be very keen if you could provide them to me.
Yeah, I think we should find these gems and use them on the Thanes and see if that does anything. If failing that, we can always take them back.
Did he give you anything?
Well, a small parting trinket. I think Carlene has the sort of phone number right.
I think Harleen's the only person who can wield the sword. I
Probably.
think
Then have you worked out
Malachi
what
might
it
be able
does?
to.
I do like thumbs most of the time.
Yeah.
Have you like looked over it, worked out what it does? Well, I can see what it does.
Yeah, for sure.
So while we're having breakfast, in
Identify.
my lap, hand on it.
Identify. Okay.
As for the plans today,
Ritually.
Is the sword an item in D&D Beyond?
Yeah, it's a
Behind
luck
the
blade, but it has one charge of wish,
doesn't forget.
and you get a use of luck once per dawn. Resets at dawn.
That does the wish of.
No.
As for today, I think we could maybe check in with whoever's in charge now and see what's going on. And then I'd love to help out, blah blah blah, the leathersmith, find their
Scran.
werewolf, Scran, that was right.
Yep.
Scran the leathersmith, find their family, the werewolves, if people are interested in looking into that.
When Bash finishes the identify, he falls out of the chair. He
So-
never hits the deck.
So, yeah. So you have identified it as a luck blade with one charge of wish within it.
Harleen, I suggest you protect this with your life.
I protect all of my weapons with my life.
This one particularly
I think it would be the other way around.
it contains an extremely powerful spell. Like the kind of spell that lets you make a wish.
Does it matter what type of sword?
Like a really
It's a long
strong
sword.
brad.
Luck blade's a long
I
sword.
think when you activate the blade, you want something to happen.
If it's not, if
And
you can't find it,
dots.
I'll add it for you. You got it. Okay.
It's
Could
just
we
it has
wish to have the other
great
two
long
gems?
piercing
Long
fire.
sword.
I think there are limits to its power, but it's
You also
but it only has one.
You
Oh, yeah.
also get a really. This is less around identify and more around you as a sort of dampier. You get a really strong sense of sort of something vampiric about this. You can't identify a curse as such, but there is something that's not quite straightforward about its blade. It's definitely got a wish. It's definitely a magical weapon.
Would I pick up on it as being an evil item vis-a-vis the book I have?
Yes and no, it isn't. It's not inherently an evil weapon, but
Do you believe
I think you would garner caution.
if we try to activate it, there may be a drawback?
Sounds exciting. Anything specific or?
Think more of if you use it, it bites you.
Interesting.
There's something very
self-sacrifice.
let's just say the blade and I have something in common.
I think that would be reasonable. You would get the feeling that there is great, like Aladdin, great unbridled superpower. Fun. Yeah, there's a little bit of quid pro quo that appears to be vampiric that you cannot completely
Something
clarify.
my father once told me. All magic has a price.
Okay, where do you want to go and what would you like to do?
Sort of like a big coffee moment. Should we go find out what's going on with the town just to see if we're like enemies of the state or
I would
anything?
probably find out where we stand in the town yet. And are we planning on fighting these werewolves, or
Presumably, I'd be pretty. Can I do a check to see what I know about werewolves?
you do understand?
Are they evil?
You could do a check to see what you know about werewolves in the context
Do I have
of.
advantage with my fancy?
Yes, you would.
Do
I think.
you understand that if we go near werewolves, they're probably going to attack us from darkness? Yes.
Do you want survival for that?
I mean,
Yeah,
they're only fond
survival.
of my kind.
And can I have advantage? Sorry, that'll be 2 seconds. And can I have guidance myself?
Yes, you can, because you're actively
29.
okay. So you know quite a lot about werewolves generally. You have heard that And you've got some of this from the books that you've had access to. You've got some of this from just picking up around town. You've got some of this from the Martikovs and the Were-Ravens. And some of this is just about, assorted knowledge and putting things together. That werewolves appeared when sort of Barovia became very dark. And they were largely run out of the sort of inhabited areas into the surrounding forests and hills, and that there are creatures known as warg who have lived in these lands forever and ever and ever. And the Book of the Fae, the Mountain Fae has particular sort of affinity with the wolves and the warg of the lands, and they were here before the very first humans came to the valley and decided to stay in the mountains and leave all the humans in peace, so long as the humans didn't go further north up into the Baratok Mountains. And the Mountain Fae,
so sorry.
no, you're good. The Mountain Fae sort of protected them and kept the peace between the burgeoning human and elven and peoples of Barovia and the creatures that lived there before. So when the Dark Powers came, the first werewolves came into Barovia. Initially, the warg found some of these exiled werewolves that had been run out of the cities and helped them and taught them how to survive in the woods, because they were people and they'd never actually been out there until they turned into wolves and got chucked out. And they taught them how to control their lycanthropy and various other bits and pieces. And they've lived in relative harmony in the forests, up in the mountains, using the same code and avoiding humans at all costs. So so you know that they're up there. You know that there's various kinds of lycanthropy. You know that you can be cursed with lycanthropy and become a werewolf, and you can be gifted or inherit lycanthropy. So there's various different kinds of werewolves here, not all of whom are evil per se. So they've lived in relative peace and harmony. Lycanthropy used to be bestowed in the same way that the Were-Ravens have lycanthropy gifted upon them by the Forest Fae. The Mountain Fae used to gift lycanthropy on some of her most dedicated devout followers. So it's not always a curse in these lands, and you know a lot of that from the history of the Fae and various things.
And they don't like vampires.
Pardon?
And they don't like vampires.
Pardon?
Do they not like vampires?
You've not heard anything of that particularly. You do know that the blessing and the curse of lycanthropy affect werewolves in the same way. So full moon, they change. They may or may not have control over the change from their humanoid to their lupine form. They lose a lot of control in that phase, but you can't tell from that perspective whether or not they've got inherited lycanthropy or they are cursed.
Quimmy relays that in a roundabout way while eating like some soup for breakfast, and
Yep.
at the end goes, "So yeah, we'll have to fight."
Yep.
Can I guidance myself on my prayers?
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
Assuming you are praying actively as opposed to in a passive while you're eating a bagel kind of way.
they're not inherently hostile towards
Well,
me,
we've
but
done
snub
before
me.
I go upstairs.
They'll
So I've got more
smell us
sight
coming
to
for sure.
it.
I think it's a lot like most beasts. You know, I think you got to not hold it against them to a degree, but also not let them bite you. Like really, don't let them bite you.
Yeah, I think that would be a fair summary.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Would I know silver is important in this?
Yes,
I
Wonderful.
don't think them biting me is going to affect me.
absolutely. With the 29,
Oh, yeah,
you would
the one guy
absolutely
who
know
got
that.
my silver is not with us.
Yeah, the one person who has a silvered weapon is out and about looking for opportunity.
Wonderful. I've got a spell that'll make your weapons work against them. You use spells. You use spells. I'll be fine. So we should be okay without silver, as long as I can keep up concentration. which has never once failed before, so it should be fine.
Okay.
Alright. Shall we head to the streets and see what's going on?
Let's do it.
Okay.
See if they praise us or want us to.
So you head into
Werewolves.
you head out to the Blue Water Inn and head towards the centre of Valaki to the town square where it all went down yesterday, and it's a very odd. You've been in and out of this square several times. You've been shopping. You've been hounding Blinsky. You've been in and out of the down to the coffee maker's shop. It's roll insight.
I like those checks. Guidance?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Very nice.
12.
24.
21.
Oh, sorry, 26.
Okay, with 21-26, you there's a lot of people out and about. So you've been out relatively early in the morning on several occasions. With lower than a sort of 15, it feels a bit weird, but you can't really put your finger on it. You're not quite sure what's checked. There's just too many people. There's loads of people. There's like people chatting on street corners. There appears to be almost a complete absence of the guard, which is odd. You go down to the square and there's people scrubbing the sort of cobbles, and everybody feel it almost feels like a festival should have felt had it actually been a proper festival. It's got that kind of almost...
It's like the people are excited to go out to the festival rather than be forced.
Yeah, you've got people spontaneously having conversations with one another. You swear you saw somebody smile. It's a very incongruous vibe compared to how wandering around in Valaki has felt since you've got here.
Are you as disturbed as I am right now?
I wouldn't say I'm disturbed. It looks like people are enjoying themselves for a change.
They weren't yesterday.
Quinn speaking the truth.
There was a big battle yesterday.
I mean, before the battle.
Oh, well, people were forced to go out to the streets.
This is true.
Maybe they just didn't free up people. Plus, there's less guards. There's a lot of
Would probably help.
Can I find a bird, raven, animal that can fly type thing around here?
Yep.
Do you think there's something off?
Again, you notice that there are more birds in the sky than you normally. So normally,
Whatever
Quinny.
we did was good.
Normally, Quinny notices a sort of relative absence of wildlife. Like you have to conjure it to be able to send it anywhere. You notice that there are like birds perched on the top of buildings, and sort of it feels very much more normal.
That's encouraging. Remind me, we know where these werewolves are, yeah?
You know that there are werewolves in the Baratop Mountains. You didn't really seek any particular information other than what will you give
we'll
me
have to
to
go
go up and find the werewolves.
The people for details. Do I know Baratop Mountains? Are we talking hours or days of travel away?
Probably a
the-
couple of days north
Okay.
into the mountains.
Never mind, I'm not going to know the spell slot then. But when we get close, I'll make some animal scouts. This seems better.
It's definitely different.
Anyone in the stocks?
Nobody in the stocks. In fact, more than nobody in the stocks. You can see groups of villagers appearing to dismantle the stocks.
Can I
And there's no guards stopping them doing that.
Can I wander over if they have stacked them in any sort of a pile and just do a produce flame and just tap that down on there to get the fire going?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
They stand back and give you a small round of applause. Malachi, lots of people run over to you and go, "Oh, thank you, Father, because you had your spirit guardians and largely shielded lots of villagers within your spirit guardian sort of shield to try and escort people towards the... and you saved Father Lucian, which was a big deal in terms of people who are generally liked and respected around the place.
That scroll to say,
Yeah, so people come over and are thanking you and trying to shake your hand and going, oh, praise to the morning Lord, praise to the morning Lord, thank you.
Shake hands with everyone and say you're more than welcome.
Okay.
That should probably be on the outside of the crowd trying to avoid people.
Thank the Lord, not myself. Be merely accident.
You're feeling really positive about this whole change.
Upon hearing that, you'll hear a slight out of fashion.
They wouldn't largely recognise Quinny because most of the time you were a giant elk.
That's fine.
A couple of small girls run up to Harleen and are just like big eyes because they watched you bludgeon Lavinia Watcher to death with your hammer in like 2 turns, just smash her to pieces, and they're just like, you were amazing. And then it's like these little girls who they've got these raggedy dresses and no possessions, have just like gone, oh my goodness, look what I could be when I grow up. I could wield a hammer and kill people. You feel generally that the place is really happy that you're there.
In fact, if Harleen and
Even
Malachi are up with
You
people-
certainly don't feel any negative even towards you. You don't feel any negativity.
If Harleen and Malachi are busy with the crowds and Vash is ducking away, Quinny will go up to Vash and say, I stole your book.
I noticed.
Yeah, I know this. I wanted to offer to settle things, to work out who told it.
I did have plans.
I've developed plans since I've got it. I would be willing to fight for it.
Well then,
Yep.
I was not expecting that.
I'm assuming I'm so busy with the cake.
Oh, you are
I'm
loving
intentionally
it. You
doing
are
this when
blessing.
no one else
You are,
No,
thematically blessing everyone.
Bash is impressed.
You have your magic and vampire stuff.
True, but I think your shape-shifting ability would have me beat.
I will keep in
Oh,
mind.
it's like
for
a mutual
anything
appreciation
you decide.
society. It's quite cute.
For now, it's probably safe in your hands.
And Quinn will wander off.
And then as you walk up, that doesn't mean I'm not going to get it back eventually.
We'll see.
Anybody who wants to roll a perception check.
Perception checks.
Most likely Quinny and Vash, seeing as everybody else is distracted by adoring
23.
fans.
26.
23.
Wow.
26.
23.
Okay, you both.
Goat ears.
While these pair are just being mobbed by their adoring fans, you two are sure you see a flash of raven hair. You're going off around a corner, so in the crowd, you're pretty sure you see Arena.
Is it within 90 feet of me?
Yeah, it would be.
Can they make I'm going to cast Entangle in a 20-foot cube around them. Can they give me it's entirely harmless. Strength saving throw, please.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of vines jumping up and trying to grab at the feet.
Crit.
The good one or the bad one?
Good one.
Alright, well, that's a shame.
Nice.
So you see these vines appear. You see these vines just appear, and lots of people around the square go woo, woo, and they go, and they go, and somebody goes, "Were you the elk?"
No.
Huh.
And I will.
But there's nobody entangled in the vines.
I'll head
Apart from one old man with a stick who appears to be suddenly struggling to walk down this side alley.
what I'll
This-
do if I can is I'll dispel it, but have them burst into flowers, so it looks like I've done something nice.
Okay. I'll let you do that.
I will cast Expeditious Retreat and move at supernatural speed.
Okay.
Fair enough. Quinny reconsiders terribly whether that was a good offer to offer Vash a minute ago, but let's see if we can catch what this person is.
So that allows me to dash as a bonus action as well.
Yep.
So I'm moving at something. If I'm doing all of it, I'm doing what? 105 feet.
You can certainly catch up to her within 105 feet. No problem.
I'll get in front of her.
Okay, it's Irina.
It's literally just straight in front of her.
It's Irina,
Oh,
and she stops and goes, "Oh, hello.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. Why wouldn't I be? Where did you come from?"
Where did Vasily take you?
To out of the square. It was frighteningly dangerous. I healed a couple of the people immediately around me, and then he appeared next to me and suggested we leave. Turned us invisible, and we walked out the back behind the stocks. Went to his house, his residence.
We all panicked and thought Strahd had you.
Why would Strahd have me? Strahd doesn't come to Vallaki. That's why Vallaki is safe.
Am I there yet?
Are you heading that way?
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
You can
after-
catch up within this.
She
time,
saw
yeah.
Strahd.
Can I do an insight check?
I'm
before.
No. She saw Strahd.
Oh, okay.
I'm inciting that.
Okay.
See if she's like lying to me.
I'm gonna.
And you can catch up
insight check.
and you can hear this conversation as you approach.
Can I?
That's a nat 20 for a 23
On insight,
on inside.
the bit about being invisible, being taken out by Vasily to Vasily's house, all true. Oh, why would you think I was with Strahd? He doesn't come to Vallaki. Clearly a lie, but more if
He
I
doesn't
keep
notice?
telling... No, more if I keep saying that, it'll be, like she doesn't want to acknowledge that the place that she was trying to get to be
He's no
safe
longer safe.
isn't as safe as she thought it would be.
Right,
So it's more
she's
that
trying to
than...
convince herself than me.
Yes, that's what you get. You get the fact that it really... He's
Yeah.
not meant to be able to get me here.
We are very glad it was safe.
So am I, to be quite honest.
Very glad. It eases a lot of our minds. And Vasily protected you.
He did. You've got up there, and
Maybe.
I'm happy if you guys want to break away from your adoring fans and head up. You can see where they're having a conversation in the corner of the square.
Vasily sent us all into Strahd's house. Maybe give him a wide berth. If Strahd's not someone you want to get close with.
She looks... Nat 20 on insight. She looks...
No, sorry, I was rolling the ritual.
No. For your previous insight roll carries. You read her as confused. Like, this doesn't make sense.
It's not computer.
This doesn't make sense for the Vasily I know. I've known since I was a child. My father was the burgomaster in Barovia. I've known, he's a noble family that I've known since childhood, and what you're telling me does not make sense. She's very...
I'm very good
Like-
at spotting liars. They are a very, very good liar.
Yeah. Okay.
You want to back me up here so I don't sound like I'm talking crazy?
It's a crazy man. A crazy woman. Crazy elk woman.
I spent most of that evening.
with your bleeding skull and your... Yeah.
I did spend most of that evening unconscious, but I do recall being in Strahd's castle.
Yep.
We did go there. I do remember that much. And Vasily was responsive.
Yeah. Please tell the truth.
yeah, Vasily doesn't seem like a very nice guy.
Wonderful, thank you.
Well,
I didn't think I was there yet.
You can head over it. We're not in initiative order. Irina's not like drawing weapons here. Irina's not drawing weapons. You're all good.
Vash will look at her in. You know how I can do that trick? I can read people's minds.
Yes.
I can't read his.
Well, some people are very private, and he has, I'm sure, lots of secrets. He's known a lot of very powerful people over a long period of time. I'm sure he's very good at, keeping things hidden that need to be hidden. That's why all the people in power trust him to do all their.
He hid you very well.
I had a room.
I'm thankful he kept you safe.
And she looked. Roll inside.
Can I do a help action with that at all?
Yeah.
I'll take it off.
And you can guidance if you want to, seeing as you are actively monitoring this conversation.
24.
Okay. You think she's being coy. You think that there's more to her and Vasily than just somebody she's known for a really long time. She does not want to hear anything negative about Vasily.
The more we talk,
We're just glad that she's safe.
Of course.
And
Do
then
what you like.
give
I'm just offering some general.
Give look like we're going to talk about this later.
Okay. And she smiles and goes, I'm glad you are all safe too. Thank you for dealing with the trouble yesterday. It's everybody certainly seems cheery, I think, today.
Definitely shift.
It'll be interesting, I think, to see what happens here in Vallaki with the Burgomaster gone and
Lady Watcher gone.
and
And
yes.
there's going to be a bit of a power vacuum.
Well, the Burgomaster's wife is still alive? Questionless?
Yeah.
Yeah. Izek Strasny took her out.
Yeah, they're both
He saved Izek Strasny saved her over
Everyone else.
everyone else.
Yeah, cool. But informative.
Informative. Okay. It's just like, yeah.
We're planning to head to the such and such mountains.
Baratok
Mountains for a couple of days.
Okay.
Should you
Pack warm clothes. It's particularly cold in that area of Barovia. Like thick snow.
The cold doesn't seem to bother us.
Oh, that would be good then.
should you need to contact us or anything, or rather, if we don't come back, in the general area, there might be some coins there.
if you get into trouble, go to church.
Go to the church. Yes. Father Lucian has been tending people all night. He's a wonderful man.
We should probably go check on your strength.
Yeah, couldn't hurt. We want to swing by the church and then go to the.
Well, I checked on him just before.
You did.
And he was fine.
And he was healed, and he was.
So I think he'll be
And he turned the church into a bit of a refuge and was,
Considering it's one place that might still be shields from Strahd.
okay. While you're in the square, is there anything else you want to do? So in the square is Yoldi Potion Shoppy. There's the the blacksmiths. There's the fine clothing and musical instruments in various other places. And there's the leather working place who told you about the werewolves in the first place. They're also there, and everywhere's open.
Don't think we've got the gold, the silver weapons.
Probably not. As I was saying, unless you don't use weapons much, do you? Cool. We're both full spellcasters, and I've got elemental weapon for Harleen. So we if as long as there's just the four of us, we're fine. Quinny would be keen to go talk to the Scran, the leather worker, for some more details.
Okay. So you head into Scran's leather and hides, and he's there, and Scran's pretty busy, and there's loads of people. It's like, where's everybody suddenly? You suddenly realise they don't seem to be selling very much. It's not like suddenly everybody's got money to spend. It's just everybody's just trying to engage in conversation with everybody else. It's all very odd. It's like it's suddenly become a sociable place. Anyway, so he and his wife Zella are behind the counter. He's pretty tied up, sort of regaling people of tales when he was once a wolf hunter. But Zella, his wife, is down the end of the sort of service area and sort of smiles and waves you over.
Quinny will kind of nudge Vash in the ribs and be like, "Come on."
Zella.
We're looking to go to the mountains and try to find your missing daughter?
Yeah.
But we were wondering if you give us some more information before we head out.
Okay. I'm very grateful that you've decided to try and find her. We've been so very worried. Zuleika, that's their daughter, Zuleika, she married several years ago Emil Turanescu. He's the leader of one of the werewolf packs that live out in the Baratok mountains, and she herself chose to become a werewolf and stay with him, and I, it took Scran a long time to come to terms with that. It's why he stopped hunting and set up this shop instead. But we have accepted them for a long time and love him as a son. And every spring we would meet out of the city, out in the forest, and have a reunion. And this year they didn't show up, and we've got more worried. Zuleika told us that there was another werewolf called Kirill, who was vying for leadership of the werewolf clan. He was trying to take over the pack from Emil, and I am concerned he may have succeeded, and that Emil and Zuleika may not have survived his advances. The last time we visited the pack a few years ago, you head out of the city and you go out through the woods north of the city, and you go into the mountains, and there's a path, and the path splits, and there is a large path that leads to the northwest, and the cave where they live is in that direction. We've not been up there now for many years. They used to come down to the forest. This year they didn't come, and we've been worried sick.
Do you have a token of your family or anything that we could show Zuleika or Emil so they know where?
Or even something with your scent on?
She smiles and she takes off a necklace, and she opens it, and it's a locket, and on the left hand side there's a photograph of what's a sort of image, it's a painted image that is clearly her and Scran as sort of younger adults, and on the other side is a picture of two young people, and she's like, that's Emil and Zuleika just after they were married, and she gives you this clearly very precious. It's worn on the back, where she clearly just doesn't take it off, and the back of this locket's worn almost completely smooth.
We'll be very, very careful. And when he hands that to someone more responsible.
And she goes, you know about the werewolves of, about the stories and the werewolves of Barovia, and when he came, Strahd, when he came, he tried to recruit the werewolf, and he and they'd been exiled from all the towns. That's how they were up in the villages, and he offered them an opportunity for revenge, and some joined with him. And during sorry, it's telling me I'm asleep. And during the time of the full moon, he capitalized on their terrible bloodlust, and they began terrible atrocities on humans in the towns and the villages. And they're not all like that. He used them. He used them to terrorize people, and that's how Scran was a hunter. It was we needed to protect the towns from the wolves. Once Zuleika and Emil, we knew that that wasn't true of them all. But long ago, way back in the distant time, before the time of kings, there was a small boy. He was attacked and taken, and survived a werewolf attack. He was raised almost as if he was their son, and began to hunt like a wolf, and that's how the first werewolves were found. And now nobody is sure who is who and what is what. But I have terrible fear for my daughter that Kirill may be of these werewolves who still long for human blood and human feeding.
We will find what we can find. I am well practiced in the hostile nature of the wilds.
I would be grateful for any news you can bring back. I would be grateful. Just be careful, and as Scran said, there is armor for you. We have some enchanted leather armor.
Would you have any cold weather gear we could borrow or buy on our way over?
Enchanted leather armor sounds like.
Scran has said that he would have that done. I think there's a leather armor +2 for successfully bringing them back news to their daughter. Scran promised you that's a reward if you did that. And she goes into the back and goes, I've got some hides and some furs and some boots. They will help against the cold.
Wonderful. I think 2 of us are fine, but we need 2 sets of cold gear. I think, do we have anything else to do in town before we head out?
Yeah.
Cool. Quinny will buy supplies and that sort of thing, by which I mean I'm going to the Blue Water Inn and asking if I can grab a couple of things of wine for the trip. And then, also in some rations. Otherwise I think we're good to head out.
Okay.
Could we do we have a map of the area?
Yeah, so she
Point with a big nice arrow, a little quest marker somewhere.
I knew I should have taken aim this one.
So absolutely. So she points. So she draws a sort of a line, sort of going north out of the north gate. So to the woods that you met, the weird Jenny tea leaf in the middle of the forest, up sort of that way, and then into the mountains. And she marks. I think it was around here where there is the path going northwest into. That's where they were when we went there, but a couple of years ago.
Should we do it? Should we do the werewolf tracking thing? Anyone else want to do anything for? Awesome. Did you say it's a couple of days? Or sorry,
it would be. You would probably get to the far side of the forest. Is about a day's travel, and you'd then be into the mountains. So you reckon you could get, looking at this map, you reckon if the weather was okay and there were no major difficulties, you'd probably be needing to camp probably on the far edge of the woods and then a day up into the mountains.
Awesome. If we're doing the first day travel, and there's little to no chance we're going to go there. If I use both my wild shapes, I can stay in Thingo for 7 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I will go as a dire goat and I can haul all the gear and that.
Okay. Okay. Anything else you want to do before you head off?
I don't think. Nope.
Okay. So you head off.
Did we get any cold weather here?
Yeah, she's given you some hides, and she's given you some boots, and she's given you some furs and things like that. So yeah, you've got some cold weather gear. Anything else?
I'd wear some just so I don't make everyone feel uncomfortable.
Fair enough.
Actually, before we go, sorry, I can actually.
Yes.
It's more of a just so you don't look at me and get cold just by looking at me because I look like I'm cold.
Say that again.
I said I'm gonna. I can't leave a chain shirt, which is not the best bit of armor for me to have. I might get a different one. Just they sell just regular unenchanted.
Yep, they do.
Cool. I'll work out what that is and let you know in a minute if that's okay.
Yep, that's fine.
Sweet. I'm already wearing my alarms.
Okay. So, are you comfortable that you're heading out?
Yep.
Okay. So,
No enchantment.
Can you take that as a... It's an arcana cleric.
roll a. Anybody who wants to roll a survival check.
That's a nat 20.
Oh, beautiful.
Nice. You you have no problems at all. Sort of following this map, you can see quite clearly where the path goes. You can't see any obvious werewolf tracks, but you can see other tracks within the area of other animals, which again you sort of you point out to Quinny, because you've just not seen that at all, which is unusual the whole time you've been here.
Can I work out?
Yeah.
Does it look like whatever was keeping the animals away is gone, or does it look there's more animals than there ought to be? Can I tell if it's one of the other of those two?
Roll survival.
Can I guidance myself?
Yep.
Oh, I crit failed. Never mind. I don't think guidance would do me much good.
You're not sure. You can see lots of tracks. You think you can see some deer. You think you can see some rabbits.
Sorry, it's a crit fail, but it's still a 14.
And even on a crit, that's what I'm saying. Even on a crit fail, you can see lots of animal tracks. You can't ascertain. You're just quite excited to see lots of animal tracks. You can't tell whether it's too many animals or because you're not quite sure there is any such thing as too many animals, or whether or not they've been here all along. But you've certainly not seen tracks like this, and they're noticeable. You notice that. You can't see any wolf tracks either at the moment.
Are there any big lakes or rivers we have to go a long way around to get around, or can we just...
There is a big lake, but not in your way.
Oh, okay.
It's too further.
I want to water walk.
Of course you do.
He wants to walk on one.
And I can make all of you water walk with me, like Jesus.
And here's me who can walk up walls.
Once we start getting near the
Can't
place
walk on
that
water,
we're expecting these werewolves,
Yeah.
I'd like to cast animal friendship on a nearby bird of some
Okay.
description.
No problems. You can do that.
At least I can use it when we're in the snow.
You can walk
And once I do
across
it,
the
I'm
side,
just going to ask them if they
Legolas
do.
style.
I'd ask them to fly up and have a look around, see if they can, if they know where werewolves are. Saying that if they could fly around and try to find them.
Okay.
I assume a werewolf camp, you've got to be able to spot from the air.
Sorry. Yeah. So you find relatively easily lots of flying birds without any great trouble at all. Just and you can get one to come down. Very much like Snow White with Cinderella in a Disney movie, with all of these tiny little birds fluttering around you and perching on. It's very pleasant. What would you like
What
to?
were you saying about disturbing earlier, Malachi?
What would you
Find the werewolves. So
what would you like to ask them?
we're looking for a group of werewolves that we think might be nearby. Do you know where any of them are?
They Twitter and go. They sometimes they come down to the forests, but they are further up in the mountains, and they start to fly in front of you like little bird guides, just hopping along from branch to branch and tree to tree. Okay.
Tell me there are no werewolves in the immediate area.
That's not what we want.
The Morning Lord has sent us some birds to guide our way.
I think Quinny sent some birds to guide the way, but we'll agree to disagree.
So, let's see if this is. Let's see, why is this going funny? This one might hold on. I might need to refresh this and log back in again.
Twist at the end of the campaign is you were the Morning Lord the entire time.
So
it'd be funny if it was you because you're the one that slags on the most.
So
It's Vax the Phantom.
Oh yeah. It'd be funny with it.
We're actually all the werewolves.
Yeah.
as you
With all the tests.
as you get out of the forest, sort of on the other. It's alright. That's the best of broken. On the other side of the forest, you notice that there is very definitely a change in temperature. That it is much colder. And that you can feel the temperature dropping, and that snow starts to fall around you as you get to the border of it's almost like entering a whole different place as the snow starts to fall and the wind starts to whistle around you.
Does that seem natural?
Ye roll nature.
Guidance myself, if that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Could it possibly be survival?
Yeah, you can roll for survival. Amazing.
Just for a giggle,
Yeah.
activate my Eldritch Sight.
Mm-hmm.
Detect magic for 30 feet.
Okay.
Survival is a 25.
Snow's magical, I'd be able to.
Okay. So the snow is snow. It's cold and slightly wet, and doesn't appear to be magical. And different to, it's not magical snow. You don't detect anything magical within the area of your Eldritch Sight, but you do. That's better. There you go. As you come out to the other side of the forest, it gets heavy really unnaturally quickly. So you go from the wooded, slightly damp, earthen smell of being in a forest to a sprinkling of snow to 3 feet of snow with.
Place you could do this trick.
That transition was rather short. Should be a gradual build up of snow, not just a sudden.
So
Sounds like magic
everything sounds like dark magic to you, to be quite.
So if it's not like
fire or sunlight. It's
so just screw with Malachi, I'll pop it. We'll act like do an Eldritch Blast and hold it in his hand.
What about this?
Which is so funny because the actual dark magic we've seen was the Wicker Man Festival, which was burning stuff.
So you've been walking for around about a day. I guess your big decision that you have to make is where, because you're right on the edge of this. So you're looking at this bit on the very edge of the forest.
We're going to back up like half an hour and set up a camp.
I would say, back from the edge of the forest. Yes,
It's a little warmer.
Yeah.
well, more that we're a little bit out of snowy range.
That's true.
So you back up, oh, I don't know, a couple of 800 feet maybe, and it's back to being not warm. I mean, Barovia is damp at the best of times. It's not suddenly sunny.
Lovely Caribbean rainforest.
It's not a lovely Caribbean rainforest, but it's certainly not thick snow waiting for Aslan. And you set up camp in the forest.
So as we dig the snow away, so we've got some ground.
So you've gone back 800 meters. There's no snow. There's no snow. There's no snow falling.
We're making a fire.
Okay. So you're lighting a fire.
Do you need a sleep?
4 hours.
Oh, good.
Like enough.
I think we should have 2 people on watch at the same time.
That would probably be advisable, yes.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Well, you all have fun with that. No.
Okay.
In fact, actually, what I will do is overnight, I'd like to do the same thing I did earlier, commission some animals to go have a poke around and see if they can find anything or if they know anything.
Okay.
I'll pass out more friendship on a nearby eagle, snow owl, something like that, so
Okay.
they can cover a bit of ground.
Roll just a straight luck check.
Our lovely cleric can light the fire.
Okay. With a 4, you have a good look. You can't see any eagles or snowy owls or anything like that. You do see a really chilly looking wren. And a couple of sparrows, maybe a blackbird. You don't see any ravens out here. And a snow rabbit,
Okay.
a white rabbit.
And then just to
Follow
find
the rabbit down the
for
rabbit
Kindle.
I reckon a snow rabbit could probably cover more area than a wren. Yeah, sure, I'll go have a chat with the snow rabbit.
Okay, so there's this lovely little snow rabbit. He's he's white, very white and fluffy, and he's just sitting there. And he looks really out of place because this bit of the forest doesn't have any snow. So he's like really obvious. He's like the least camouflaged rabbit that you can find, which might be why you saw him. So he's sitting there, this white rabbit in the middle of this forest with these big floppily ears and his little sort of bunny tail and his little wiggly bunny nose.
Good evening.
Good evening. And he thumps his tail on the ground.
Good. This is an interesting bit of forest, isn't it? Lots of snow and lots of not snow.
And it looks around and looks markedly perplexed and goes, "Oh, no snow here," and changes and becomes a brown rabbit.
That's a neat trick.
Did I see that?
Yeah.
Eldritch sight.
It appears to be a rabbit.
How does it change colour without being magic?
So it's a neat trick. How did you do that?
There is no snow here.
Yes.
Yes,
How did you go from white to brown?
there's no snow.
Is this rabbit speaking in rabbit or common?
It's speaking to you in sort of in rabbit,
Sorry.
and you can translate that.
Wonderful. No, I will translate. I was just curious.
Yeah,
if it
yeah,
was
no,
like
no, no,
two
no,
beans of ash.
no. He's talking to you.
Okay.
So its explanation is if it's standing on dirt, it's brown. If it's standing on snow, it's white.
But the thing you need to
It's a
understand
chameleon.
with talking with rabbits is they're very active things. It doesn't leave a lot of room for thought. There's not a lot going on up there.
Okay.
Sex.
Do you say that to the rabbit?
No, I'm speaking in common. And then I go back and talking rabbit.
No thoughts of any harm. Okay, I understand. Now.
It's not really
Our friends are looking. My friends and I are looking for some werewolves around here. I don't suppose you've seen any.
Well, I try not to. They're not white, so you can see them in the snow.
That is good to know. Honestly.
Yes. So I can stay out of their way.
Very clever.
Yeah.
Would you
They eat rabbits
really?
sometimes.
Oh dear. I've made
They ain't my
a horrible
friend.
choice of creature here.
Kill this rabbit or I'm hungry.
I'm actually interested in how to this cup.
We've got
That's very
rations
interesting.
and stuff. So, where are you from? Do you live around here?
Oh, good. Yes. Do you?
No, we're travellers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Always magic.
All right. Can you detect magic on this thing?
He has. It's not magical.
Oh, wonderful.
It's a rabbit.
It
Okay.
appears to be a mundane rabbit.
Have I heard of
Chameleon
rabbits
rabbit.
changing colour before?
Nope. It's not something you've randomly come across in your, racking your brains.
Does it feel fey
Um,
as someone who's fey?
Could you ask? I know this is a really odd question,
Mm-hmm.
but could you ask the rabbit to sit on my foot for about a minute?
I can ask it.
But I might be able to find out how the rabbit's doing what it does.
Okay. This is my friend here. They're very
We'll just sit in my
nice.
I've never pat a rabbit.
You should go say hello.
why?
Why? Well, it's polite.
Does he speak rabbit like you?
Check the wording of a spell really quick and you might be able to.
With tongues.
So I've got at will speak with animals. I'm just trying to work out if it's you pick an animal and and you can speak to it, or the animal speaks.
I think it's you
So
speak
no one
to
will- yes,
I think it's you speak to the
and
animal.
I speak to the animal. No, they're a little rusty, unfortunately. They do a pretty good vampire bat, but no rabbit.
On your previous question, either roll survival or roll insight or history, I guess.
Inside, if that's okay,
Yeah.
which is a
Any of those.
dirty 20.
Dirty 20 on insight. You think this is very fey-ish? This is a fey. Not sure why it's here, but this has a very fey vibe. You think it's more fey vibe than Barovian vibe?
Yeah. Okay.
Biting fey rabbit. That's not weird and rude.
Have you had? Would you like some food?
Have you got any mushrooms?
Absolutely, I have some mushrooms.
20, it wasn't 20, that's much.
I like mushrooms.
Wonderful. I'm lying to this rabbit, by the way, unless our rations include mushrooms.
This is
fine inside check.
If you'd like to sit on my friend's foot for a minute, I'll give you some of my mushrooms.
goes and sits on Vash's foot.
Okay, as soon as
And-
I touch my foot, I'm cussing identified.
Okay, and on the rabbit.
On the rabbit.
What are you wearing?
Standard snow boots, I guess.
Okay. As he sits on your foot, it goes from being a sort of brown tree-coloured rabbit to a snow boot-coloured rabbit.
My God, those would make some excellent
It's a
boot skills.
chameleon rabbit.
Right, take 120.
I'm
I'm
looking at it.
not saying I want to harm this rabbit at all, because I don't. But could you imagine a cloak made out of rabbits?
I was just trying to think of an ethical way to do that, and quickly realising that it would not work.
Imagine, okay, find a sheep that can do this, and you shear it,
Yeah,
and use the wool.
that'd be interesting.
That'd be a really good idea.
Are there any? Do you have any friends around?
Where's your family?
I'm actually asking that for a different reason than.
Is this like the watership down murder scene
That's just saying how handy
of chameleon rabbits?
application. It's just like, that is coming real handy.
Application of the dead
Arlene's
rabbit.
kind of just sitting by the fire.
It'd be really handy if we
twiddling
could do
her
that.
knife. Why are we so obsessed with
Alright, can this rabbit make a wisdom
Alexis
saving
smells
throw,
like
please?
looking at his
I'm not
crossbow,
getting
looking
paid
at
enough for this.
rabbit.
Color hungry.
Yeah, cool.
It's an 8. So I'm
An 8
saying that a
modifier.
rabbit doesn't have a lot of wisdom
It's a DC
modifier.
17, so it'd need a 9.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It's not got a +9 wisdom.
Awesome. It's charmed by me for the next
What
half
about
hour.
this?
Okay.
What if we
I'm gonna
eat
invite
it
her.
and we don't
It hops off Vash's foot when Vash and Harleen start fighting. The rabbit sort of hops off, and as it hops off, and it hops across the ground, you can see this rabbit changing. As it goes in front of the trees, it looks like a tree. As it goes in front of the sort of low scrubby brushes, it looks sort of slightly green in colour, and it's
Did
like
I get
a
a read on it before it jumped off?
You didn't get a magic as in it's under a spell effect. You
think it is magic itself.
You think it's not 100% exactly common and garden rabbits that you would know from greenest and things like that. It's like no rabbit you've ever encountered, but it appears to be innate to the rabbit rather than a spell upon the rabbit.
Really? Is this a fey rabbit?
Probably. They usually are.
Okay, just checking because it keeps changing colour.
I'm slightly convinced that rabbits aren't real. I'm yet to meet an actual rabbit.
Well, I've seen an actual rabbit.
I don't know.
I've eaten a rabbit.
I don't know.
The rabbit's just sort of gently hopping around you in circles and just shifting ever so slightly as it moves in just constantly. It's quite difficult to... You can see its eyes, but it's actually quite difficult to see in the surroundings.
It's a rabbit.
You're very good at hiding, aren't you?
You can get
Yes, that's why I'm still alive.
Yes.
You should be good at hiding too. Then you would also stay alive for a long time.
Well, I am still alive also, so it's worth it. So,
You must also be good at hiding.
There's a little bit more than that in 20
I think it's another rabbit noise.
Okay.
I will send rabbit. Would you at all be interested
That
in
wasn't a vicious mock.
having a look around for us to see if you can find
I
anything?
can look around.
Yeah,
I've got good eyes
that's good.
and good ears, and it sort of sticks one ear up and one ear down. It goes, good
We will do the
ears.
same thing with big floppy goat's ears.
It smiles. It seems to like you quite a lot.
Oh, good. I hope it doesn't die on my behalf. Would you look around and see if you can find any of these werewolves nearby for us? Don't need to get close, just see if you know where they are and come back and let us know.
In the snow,
In the snow.
and it bounces off.
Wonderful.
And it bounces off, and you can see it making rabbit footprints and bouncing off. And as you see in the distance where it starts to snow, you can see it getting changing colour as it goes past all the trees until it eventually disappears into the snow.
You're from the Pharaoh. How do you not know a rabbit like that?
So, the thing with the Pharaoh, right? There's always something happening. It's never happening where you are.
Absolutely boring.
Well, no, it's very interesting. Also, not to be rude, but you're from Barovia, and you've not exactly been the best of helps.
I might have been born here, but
At that
left when I
Harley
was
would
five.
just sleep
Oh,
under a
okay.
rabbit.
Fair.
I was like this big when we left.
Okay.
Can't say my conscious mind was exactly working like it does now. Though.
I was that big when I left the Feywild. Well, I was because I was a cat at the time, but that's... I don't know if that's the excuse.
You've seen the extent of my shapeshifting.
Harley would
no,
be getting
that's
her
fair.
bed ready while they're all having this discussion.
Rolling your eyes
on a
and
slightly more serious note,
having dinner.
there's Fey around. Maybe
I think
don't
Harleen
talk to
bought
them.
food. I'm not sure anybody else did, but I think Harleen.
Quinny
Did you-
said-
did you
I
bring
said
food?
I got food.
Okay.
It's what Quinny does.
I think
is normally
Carlene's just
large
sitting there
rations,
going,
right? It's like half wine and the rest
Paying
rations.
enough for this shit.
The guy's like
enough
one
to
body
babysit.
eating jerky.
The reason that you're sort of
You're not
slightly
eating that rabbit. I'll get you
so
another
the
rabbit.
bit about going up here that's probably bothering you a little bit, which they appear to not be taking seriously because they're chatting to a rabbit. Which I can understand being somewhat frustrating, given that the last time you saw Izexstrasny, the man with a weird flaming arm, he said that you and he and your parents were all attacked by wolves in this sort of area. So on the north side in the forest, that you'd been, and that he thought you were dead, and his parents, your parents are dead, and you know he got. So all of this, from your perspective, is going to the place where supposedly you got attacked and were orphaned and have a brother that you know nothing of, and then somehow managed to not grow up here and end up in Martov. But you can't get out of here, so how the hell does that work? So this as a place for you is any minute now is something going to suddenly go, oh my god, I remember this. It's quite unnerving. And to have this pair arguing over the intricacies of a rabbit is really grating on that. This is a really serious.
So we're going to do the first watch.
Are you going to do a watch? Are you doing a watch?
Already in bed.
So we can go to sleep and we'll
drink.
Who's watching?
We're doing the first watch.
Okay.
and we'll do the second.
Roll. You can either roll both roll perception check or somebody roll with advantage.
Do you want to give me advantage? I've got +9 to perception.
How do I give you advantage?
Yeah,
I
I
just
just
say
You can either help and roll one with advantage, or you can both roll a straight check.
my guidance.
I don't need 4.
Yeah.
And 24.
Okay, so on a 24 perception, as you're watching, now you know what to look out for. Deeper into the forest, you can see quite a lot of these sort of rabbits that appear to sort of, every now and again there's a lag where they jump out and then they shift, and you can see them when that happens. And once you know that you're looking for it, you can see quite a lot of them. You find a snow owl at the top of a tree that you missed earlier, and you're just like, oh my goodness, can't
Was
believe.
snow owl normal?
And the snow owl appears to be a snowy owl on top of the tree. You see it swoop down and catch something, not a rabbit, but some vole or something. And with a 24, you're not sure, but as you look back into the forest, every now and again you seem to perceive that sometimes those trees just seem to shift. You don't perceive that there's a threat, that there's anybody there, that there's anybody hiding, but that they sort of shift in and out, and you'll see a flower like just for a short period of time, and then it's gone, and it's just very strange.
If this isn't a thing I would know how to do, or isn't a thing in the setting, that's fine. But I'd like to make like a little shrine type thing and leave like a little offering on it. Like if there's a resident fae around here, just as a little kind of.
You know
offering.
exactly how to do that. That's like the first kind of religious, druidic. Actually, you have to really you know how to do it because you were in a druidic circle, but you weren't like the most devout of the practicing druidics over there. So you kind of go, I definitely remember how you do the thing, and then maybe you put some stuff there, and you get this like little thing of leaves and stones and thing, and maybe it's got a little glass of small bit of wine next to it.
For sure.
Looks quite nice.
And while I'm doing that, I will point out those things to Malachi and also be like, do you have any experience with the fae? Let's keep
Inherently suspicious. You've heard about them. They do not worship the Morning Lord.
No.
Yeah,
They are
there
very
is.
far from God.
They are far from
any
God.
of them.
The Church of the Morning Lord has not ventured to the Fae.
Let's try and keep it that way. Chuck an offering on the thing.
An offering on the Barbie. Yeah.
Sounds like that we're worshipping something like that.
It's not worship. It's a much simpler transaction. It's paying a toll to cross a road. Very simple. There's no reverence in it. Very transactional. It will potentially see a lot of wonderful.
Okay.
Alright.
No danger appears to approach the 24. No danger appears to approach. Night progresses. Your watches, other than this sort of slight oddness in the forest and these weird colour changing rabbits hopping around the place occasionally, nothing else appears to bother you.
When we wake up Vash and Harleen for their watch,
I'll wake up early.
I will
I'm
I will explain what's going on, what I've seen, and get them to put an offering on the pile as well.
Put an offering on the pile of
Fair.
sticks. Vash looks at it, and it appears to be like a really spurious pile of rocks with some leaves on the top of it.
Actually, if
I'm
we're gonna
not
get
sure
a
it's
rest, what I'll do is I'll cast Entangle and get all the vines to like hold it together and that sort of thing. if I
nice,
can.
very artistic. Roll either Arcana or Nature, whichever you'd prefer.
Neither of those are my specialty.
Yep.
I'm not a smart
Vash will
player.
pull one of the
19 on the dice though. So
Okay.
21.
21. Actually, you're quite proud of this. It looks pretty similar to some of the ones that you saw your sort of circle make back in the day. You're pretty sure this is not bad. You've seen ones like this at like entrance that you used to go into the Feywild a lot, and you've seen offerings like this, and it looked pretty much like that. You're pretty confident.
Alright,
Done a good job there.
wonderful. Yeah, definitely stick something in.
So Vash will grab one of his spare strings
Yes.
and lay a lot of spare strings on for an offering.
Then do that.
Then, right after that, he was going to walk up the tree that's right near Harleen,
Yep.
turn around, put his feet flat against, and then sit on his heels.
Okay.
Sit 10 foot up a tree so we can watch.
Okay. You sitting 10 feet up a tree. You roll if you're... So Evdale's coming back to sleep?
I'll wake up Harleen first and get her to put an offering on the thing.
Okay.
Wait, why are we putting an offering on what?
So
On this pile of sticks, yeah.
I'm like 30% sure there's a failure, and it's polite.
Do we have to?
They might be
ravaging and
might be
Vash
less
will
likely to
gently
kill
pull
us.
down. Unless you want to piss off a fae, I suggest just do it, just in case.
Harleen will just get all my copper coins and just flip them all the time. Just kind of don't rely on doing this. Okay.
That is a 24 for perception.
With a 24 for a perception halfway up a tree, you, from above, looking down back into the forest, again, you see the ground start to... It just seems to shift. It doesn't look like it's moving. It's more that the perception of exactly where it is keeps shifting slightly. Eldritch sighted? Yeah, it's, again, it doesn't appear to be a spell effect as such. It appears to be something completely innate within this forest, but there is a magical aura to it. You also see colour-changing bunnies. You also see what appears to be really odd, very beautiful vines growing up a tree. And for 1 minute, you're 99.9% sure you saw a waterfall coming out of a tree and flowing across the path and then disappear. And it all just sort of shifts in and out of focus.
Bash seeing all these weird things happening, he will hunker down, get into a comfortable position, stop moving, stop breathing.
Valid.
He doesn't need to breathe.
No,
He's just
no.
going to sit there like a statue.
Okay.
Quick question
No.
for
Bash never
prepping
needs to
spells.
Hmm?
Quick
So you
question
can
for
go just
prepping
like a
spells. Would I be able to
poison fog
use
cloud over
locate
it.
creature
You sound
on
more
Zuleika? Would they count as familiar to me?
To make people more comfortable.
With the locket, maybe?
So they don't know some of that
With the
clarity.
locket, you... Yeah, no, I would count that as...
Breathing so
Yeah,
people
you
don't
could
notice.
roll that. You can look at the picture
Yeah,
and
you
you've
see
heard the
what it
description and, yeah, you know the name and, yeah.
Cool. I'll take.
I'm happy for-
I'll take this my 4th level spell for the day.
Okay, that's fine.
The one
No worries.
His whole theory is if I
So
don't
the-
move and I'm completely motionless, anything approaching is not going to notice him.
That's fine. You don't notice anything approaching. You notice birds in the trees. You again notice what seems like more animal activity than you've noticed previously out and about. You know, when you were travelling from Barovia up to Vallaki and things like that, or out to the Wizard of Wines and going through the forests.
Remarkable noticeable lack of animals in those instances.
Yes, and same. And Quinny very much noticed a definite. Where are all the things to
Something's
talk to?
changed.
Yeah, something's changed. But other than that, your overnight rest is uneventful and, in particular, unattacked.
Yeah, long.
You do get a long rest. You wake up.
Do you have to spell?
You wake up in the following morning.
You have? Beautiful. I'm gonna sit
Um, Malachi and Quinny roll perception check.
Perception check.
Perception.
Crit fail. So 10.
Okay.
I have 14.
What did we say?
With 14, with a crit fail, you feel fine. You've had a great night's sleep. No worries at all. You're ready. You're interested to see where your rabbit friend has got to. you've had dreams of fae and fairies sparkling in your head. It was actually quite pleasant.
Good change.
Malco, you slept fine, no problems, long rest. No, because you have an unlocated sense of unease, just uneasy, like something
That's why I found this.
like something itching in the back of your head, like you can't quite remember. It's just slightly like almost like deja vu. There's something that you feel you should know, or that you're not quite sure of, and it's just annoying. It's like it's just out of reach, like an irritation in the back of your mind.
Can I go check on the pyre I made? Or the
Yeah, you can check on the little shrine that you made. It's still there, and there's now a string and a copper piece, and
One of our friends speakers.
Jesus Christ.
it does not appear to be bleeding or sundered
That's
or
good. That's good.
rotten or covered in, black
any of the
ooze or anything like that.
Vash, how you doing? You seem to be in a tree.
I just thought I'd get a better view of things.
Did anything happen last night?
That forest keeps changing.
Yeah, they do that. Well, no, sorry, they don't.
No, I believe at one point I thought I saw a waterfall coming out of one of the trees. And the
Was I
ground
near a
keeps-
waterfall or was I near a lake when I entered the Feywild?
Both.
Oh, good.
And the ground keeps shifting.
Mm.
And there is...
There was a waterfall
it's
into a
not
lake.
spell so much as I think the ground itself is magic.
Alrighty then. So, who wants some protection from good and evil? Any takers?
I would suggest that is probably a very good idea.
Yeah. I got a bell branch that does some nice stuff.
I do believe my
It's only on one person though, because it's concentration.
little toy here does the same thing.
Yes, yes. Oh, it's only 10 minutes, never mind.
Did you use your bell branch?
I didn't think to, no, but I might use it. And I
Just
could I have? It detects Fae. It probably would have been a great thing to do last night.
You would, and Quinny would have known that, I think.
Awesome. If you're happy to retcon,
Yeah.
so I used that last night.
And
For sure.
yeah, I can see Quinny sort of wandering around, shaking. There is the faintest. So there's the faintest sound of bells. This is definitely Fae.
Okay.
And as you're walking around with this branch, there's this sort of faint chime of bells, and then it will get stronger and then goes back to being faint, and then stronger and then back to being faint, with no particular rhyme or reason to it. So if you stay in one place, it sounds and then goes away, and then sounds and then goes away.
Something's trying to happen here. Can I, the morning before we leave camp,
Yep.
can I take out the stone that we have? And
Yeah.
just see if that's doing anything?
Okay. Remind me. Which particular stone? I'm sure you've got all sorts of random
the
stuff.
stone one we got from the...
Oh, yes, so the green
fancy
one.
Fey one.
The green Fey one. Yeah, okay. That stone.
That
That
one.
big crystal gem thing.
The important one, yeah.
As opposed to a rock of some description that you've picked up.
Yeah.
Who
Can I
knows?
just take out the big flat stone that Quinny canonically carries with her at all times, just for the sake of it?
Well, yeah, to sit on. I don't know.
It's the drinking stone.
The drinking stone. Whatever you've got, man. Okay. The green Fey gem. You get the green Fey gem out that you got from the vineyard and put that down on the ground. And as you sit there in this sort of forest, roll perception check. Anybody wants to, as you're looking at this. You can roll with advantage because you're fair.
Guidance okay?
Yes. Nice.
23.
Yeah.
Super on the lookout.
Dirty 20.
Nice.
28.
Okay. You get it because you see it very clearly because you're Fae. You see it very clearly because it's definitely not religious. And everybody sees it, but you see it very clearly in a slightly, I'm very concerned about this, and you see it, oh, that's interesting. But it's visible to all of you, which is that as you put this stone, as you put this green crystal down on the ground, it almost seems to beat like a heart, and the green within it seems to pulse like a heartbeat, and you see almost colour start to creep up the trees. So everything here is pretty dismal and brown most of the time. It's Barovia, so it's trees, but you actually start to see almost like green moss and little green vines start to creep up the nearest trees.
I believe
Very small, like
the
little.
plane that this belongs to might be nearby.
And
Oh,
around
this one belongs to the windmill.
it does, yeah. But you think this is the gem of the forest fane, and the
Right.
forest fane is at the fane circle. The circle, the fane is at the windmill that's been desecrated. But that fane belongs to the forest fae.
Right.
Yeah, so this would be the
Yeah.
fae gem for the forest
It's
fae
it's-
of the three. The ferret,
Bob freaks out for a second.
yeah. So as it's sitting there on the ground, around it, you start to see tiny little.
Can I try to thorn whip and like pull your hand away?
You see,
As he goes to do that, I'll actually pick the stone up telekinetic so it doesn't hit.
so just before you did that, you start to see little green shoots, like the first shoots of spring coming up out of the ground. As you telekinetically lift the gem away, all of those sort of little green shoots just immediately fade back into the sort of undergrowth and the brown brush.
Well in the bag.
I pass it back.
Does this do it? Does it have any active abilities or anything that we know of, or is it just?
No. And when you've identified it, it is Fey. It is in itself inherently powerful druidic Fey
It just
energy. It doesn't have a casting ability or anything like that.
Just wanted to check.
Perhaps if we find
It's
some
more religious artifact of the druidic Fey nature, not of the
less
Morning Lord's
hostile
nature.
werewolves, they may actually give us passage because we have.
Could be a very good thing to have. I'd also love to get back to that.
It might also protect us from the movements of what's going on in the forest further on. May provide some protection.
Might make it worse.
No, make it better.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't need to find out. My rabbit come back at all?
Oh, yeah, Hoppity. Hoppity the rabbit. Hoppity comes bouncing back. Looks and you see covered in sort of snowflakes, little patchy white like flakes underneath where the snow has been on the rabbit. And as it sort of hops back in, it goes back to being brown. He goes, "Morning."
Good morning. How was your night?
Well, I went hunting for they are north, up towards the cave.
Wonderful.
There are some out and about in the forest. Be careful. Stay hidden.
Yes.
And vanishes into the underbrush.
Wonderful. I will. I don't know if I can end that spell early. Rules is written, but if I can, I will.
The charm.
The charm thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's not concentration. Actually, never mind. There's no need for me to do that.
No.
You can just stay friendly. All right. We have a destination.
It pops out of the. It disappeared, but didn't actually go anywhere. So it just pops its head forward and goes, "Do you want anything else?"
Yeah. If you hear terrible screaming, do you want to maybe go? There's not really anyone to help out near here, is there?
No, I'm afraid not.
Say a prayer for us or something, I guess.
They bounce over, and it looks at your little offering and goes, "Nice. Not many people think to do that anymore," and bounces off into the woods.
I choose to believe I saved our life last night.
Well, we certainly didn't come to any mischief, so perhaps you did do something beneficial.
Can we just keep going?
Too dangerous. Let's do it.
Harley is getting unnerved at staying in the same spot for too long.
Yeah. Harleen's very worried because, supposedly she got abducted / nearly
Orphaned.
killed / orphaned
Oh, was
by
that-
werewolves. Yeah.
Apparently so.
Oh,
So this is where Isaac and
Right.
supposedly Harleen got
Tag?
attacked sort of 20 years ago, was up here somewhere.
let's go have a look.
And you also managed to get out, supposedly, assuming that Isaac's version of events is true. Somehow you managed.
I wonder if you can get out through the Feywild here. Winnie makes like a mental note to come back here and check this out.
Mental note, query,
In fact, sorry, Quinny doesn't make
On the
mental
map?
notes.
query
Quinny writes a little
Feywild
note.
portal-y.
Quinny
in a big
just- Quinny
circle.
writes rabbit hole question mark in a circle around here.
Okay,
Ash gets down out of the room.
okay.
Let's do it. We know roughly where this rabbit said they were going.
Yeah.
Northish,
Yeah,
right? Let's
yeah,
follow-
yeah.
Let's, well, not follow that, but let's
As
follow
soon as
that
he hits the ground, he shakes his coat out. It's comfortable. Right, let's do this.
There we go.
Okay. So you head off, and as you get, as previously, as you get to the edge of the sort of furthest bit of the forest, the snow becomes heavy, the temperature goes down, sort of 10, 15 degrees, bitterly cold, wind blows up. It's sort of, what starts as sort of light snowfall as you progress out of the forest gets more and more intense. Like a blizzard, and you, as you're walking along, you get to what appears to be a split in the path. You can see a wide sort of path going up to the northwest, further up into the mountains, and a smaller path going to the northeast, going on through the woods to what appears to be a clearing that you can see in the distance.
And the person we spoke to told us about this, didn't they?
Zella told you that there was a fork in the path, and that the cave where the werewolves lived, where Emil and Zuleika lived, was to the northwest.
Good, let's go that way.
Nice.
Up the road.
Pass for a walk.
Hey, Quinny,
Yeah.
is it possible all of this is some sort of layer of protection to keep people out?
Very.
Deterrent part?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah, but the
Quite
difference
likely.
is like to get the wolf on top.
Although correct me if I'm wrong here, werewolves
And you
aren't
can too if you
necessarily
have faith.
magical in the same way that vampires are. Would that be- would
Not
that be
necessarily.
20%?
So it's so in the same way that you didn't immediately detect that the Martikovs were were-ravens. So you would necessarily, you would have a relatively high, you'd have a relatively low threshold for consideration of werewolfness of any wolves you met around these parts, but there are also wolves.
Yeah.
So there are straightforward wolves, and there are warg, and there are werewolves out and about around these parts, is what you understand. And that you can't tell a good werewolf from a bad werewolf based on appearance or anything like that. No.
It's more of a physical.
Yeah, it depends how you look at it. They're undead.
I'm a born vampire. So
Yeah.
It's more physical.
Yeah, right. Quinny doesn't know a lot about vampires.
Turn vampire.
It could be a with werewolves doing this. I'd be surprised though.
So,
I'm
you
thinking more
heading
something's protecting
northwest on the big path. Do you want to roll survival check as you get to that?
I'd love to.
Okay,
them. Everyone will be
Can I guidance?
whoever you want. Yes, you can guidance.
I rolled a 4 on my guidance and a 20. So that's a 32 for me.
Okay.
Sorry, 33.
Winnie is absolutely leading the job.
33, you see that the big northwest path is clearly the road more travelled. You get down, you look at it in great detail, you can see lots of tracks, lots of wolf tracks. You can see there are some really big large beasts coming through here. The path to the northeast, going out through the forest, you can also see some wolf tracks, but in single, you can see some human tracks or humanoid tracks going in that direction, which you can't see going in northwest. That's all animal tracks. But there appears to be a bipedal track of some description going to the northeast. But there's certainly lots of lupine activity going up that northwest track. Is what you get on a 33. You'd be fairly sure that there's definitely werewolves of some description up there, and some of them are big.
Okay. Do we want to check out whatever this humanoid-looking thing is first, in case that is one of them?
If the leather worker's wife was correct, perhaps they have been the survivors of the original pack had been vacate and moving in bipedal.
I think let's check out
northeastern first.
I think let's check out all of the possibilities that aren't, and then I point to the biggest wolf footprint and find this first.
Perhaps you will want to save that one for last.
Okay, so you're going further, so across. So it's not. Yeah, so it's across the edge of the forest in the snow. So as you head in that direction, you come towards a clearing. You can see an older, sort of dwarven gentleman sort of sitting on the steps to a snow-covered, rickety-looking wooden cabin.
Can I call out a greeting in Undercommon?
You can. He looks up. He sort of... he doesn't seem to understand.
Fair enough.
You can see that there's smoke rising from the chimney, and this is obviously, he's been living here, and it's like that almost around some of this area, a lot of that snow has started to melt. It's made the ground underneath really sort of marshy and muddy. As you approach, he appears to be a dwarven. He's got a big, long beard, and he's looks suspicious, I think, as you approach. But he's smoking a pipe and sort of doesn't really move off the steps as you walk towards him.
That should be in the back.
That should be in the back.
You don't want to piss off werewolves and doesn't have to.
Hello, friend.
Dwarf, yeah.
The wolves can be werewolves.
No. Hello? Who are you? You rarely see so many travellers this far north in this weather.
We're tracking down some lost relatives of family from Velaki.
Oh. And who would you be seeking?
We're looking for a Zuleika, and was it Emmett? The husband?
Emil.
Emil. A Zuleika and an Emil. We got their last name, didn't we?
Yeah.
Cool. Give them the full name.
It would have been very silly to not have gotten the last name.
Full names.
Yeah. Have you been sent by Scram?
Yes.
And he sort of speaks with this sort of slightly halting voice of somebody who doesn't get a lot of visitors and doesn't do a lot of chatting. So he's smoking on his pipe and he goes, my name is Skenis. Emil is my son.
Oh. Very well.
I wondered whether Scran and Zella would send someone to look for Zuleika. I'm glad they have sent someone. My son Emil, Zuleika's husband, has disappeared. I fear I fear it was at the hands of Kirill.
I did hear that he had a rival for the pack.
Kirill is now head of the pack. He has taken to some dark ways. He has been kidnapping children from Kresk, from anywhere that he can, and feeding on them. He has disgraced the pack. He has disgraced our god, and the statue is drenched in the blood of human children. He's almost rocking. He seems absolutely disgusted and mortified at what's been going on.
You all hear some rustling behind you, and Vash is visibly trembling in anger.
And he looks and goes, I understand. I have attempted to reach out to the warg. They were... I don't know how much of the history you would know as travellers, but they were once allies of the werewolves. But the warg fear that the werewolves are now in league with the Devil Strahd. I think Kirill may definitely be in that ilk and is leading the pack into dark ways. Emil and Zuleika had outlawed those practices many years ago. There have been none of those practices in their pack for years now. I think, please find my son, remove Kirill from power, end these dark days. You shall have my allegiance and that of our pack, if you can help him. Seek out Grimrock. He is the leader of the warg. Convince him to help. They were able to turn them before and control them in the past. He has no love, no allegiance with the Devil Strahd, but he does not trust easily outsiders. There's a lookout post above the wolf den, above the main entrance. It is guarded, particularly at night, but not as well during the day. It is night time that they fear incursions. Please return my son. Find him and save our pack from what has befallen them.
We'll do our best.
How you doing for food? You alright?
I hunt alone these days, but I am all right for food. There are rabbits in the woods.
I'd like to pull out 2 of the bottles of wine I bought.
That's appreciated. You see, hanging over the edge of the barn, where he sort of nods and there's rabbits in the woods. You see the pelt of a collection of small rabbit-like creatures hanging over the edge of the barn, looking very similar to the colour of the barn.
Do you know what the rabbits are? The way they...
Tasty.
Fair enough. This...
hard to find sometimes, but they smell like rabbits.
The god you mentioned, the shrine that was desecrated, are they a fae of the old ways?
Mother Night is largely the god that is worshipped around these parts. The fae left us many centuries ago. There has been no fae in Barovia since the time of Strahd.
We're working on it.
Vash contains himself for something. This one line.
Harleen would turn around and go, "So I wasted that copper for nothing."
There was definitely.
Arlene, we woke up. You didn't waste it.
So sorry, I'm not sure. I think I misunderstood there. What was the deal with the watchtower? Or was that just
There's a watchtower. It is less heavily guarded. It is less heavily guarded over the during the day, but heavily patrolled at night.
Sweet. Let's head that way then, I guess. I don't think there's much prep we can do.
Okay.
Find the walls.
So you head back to the crossroads and take the path to the northwest. As you take the path to the northwest, as you're heading into the forest, you start to hear cries. You hear somebody shouting for help, and you can hear growling and the sound of beasts up ahead.
Can I insight check the cry for help real quick?
Yep.
That's a 2 on the dice, so 11.
This is some fey trip.
It was a 2 on the dice.
So 11.
11.
Can I guidance?
You can guidance.
Only brings it up to 30.
You can hear cries for help. It sounds like somebody needs help.
Alright, let's go.
Harleen would immediately grab her. You ready for battle?
Harleen, you're going to need something to damage stuff. What weapon are you using? What weapon do you pull out?
There you go. So go down the bottom down here. I'll zoom you in a bit.
Oh, that's a beautiful weapon, isn't it?
It's pretty, isn't it?
Very pretty. I like it.
How thick's the snow?
You can see it, you can actually, it's pretty thick, it's banked, so you can see patches where it's clear. The forest out here is really scrubby. It looks like it snows a lot. It sort of looks like it looks very wintry rather than anything else. It wouldn't be so thick as to be difficult terrain. Yep.
As we're running over, I want to cast Elemental Weapon on Harleen's Warhammer.
Uh-huh.
So, whereas that gives you a +1 to hit and an extra d4 of a damage type, I think we'll do fire.
Okay.
We'll walk over to the Warhammer and just put a head on it, and the top of it will just into flame.
Okay. So as you sort of advance and you round the corner, you can see sort of backed up against this wall, this sort of this figure, a male that seems to be surrounded by 4. Gone.
2 questions.
Yes.
How far away are the werewolves from me?
Okay.
And how far apart are the 2 most distant werewolves?
Okay. I'll tell you in a second. These do not appear to be obviously wolves. So these are what you would recognise as warg, and you would know that they're different. So you think these are the warg that Skennis was just telling you to find.
Quickly point that out. I believe these are werewolves.
Yeah, much bigger.
So
And
this
the
guy might
Wargs
be-
are the ones who were given
So
the
the wargs took the first werewolves under their wing and taught them to control their transformation. But they have always lived way up in the mountains, away from. They don't cause a lot of trouble. They've just lived up in the mountains for a long time, kept themselves to themselves, doing wolf stuff, not bothering people, killing small animals and eating them. Skennis in the cabin has just told you to find Gimrock, leader of the warg, and convince him to help you to overthrow Kirill and the leader of the clan and all that sort of stuff.
Dash will step forward with his hands in the air,
Yep. So there's this dude who's been attacked by these 4 wolves.
making it very clear that he's non-hostile, non-threatening.
Yep.
What seems to be the problem?
I think that like a spell.
No. Just he's walking up very calmly and quiet.
Could all roll for initiative.
Yeah.
Not because they're immediately attacking, just because it will make it easier to resolve the
Well,
actions.
there may be combat involved.
Maybe. Harleen with an 18.
I also have an 18.
Okay.
That's initiative.
Quinny with an 18.
Well, low
Why
as
are you
usual.
not in the initiative?
Always rolls like
And so Queen's got an 18. Malachi.
8.
Malachi with an 8.
Too busy with all this fake stuff.
This is
Quinny
completely
with
fair.
an 18. And Vash.
22. I stepped forward to speak.
Yes, you do.
Yep, that's fine.
What's your verdict?
So you do go first overall in the order, so that's fine. So you step forward and speak.
I would relay that we've met the dwarf and the Grimmel.
They roll. Are you just trying to be friendly? Are you trying
I'm
to
just trying to be
persuade? Are you trying
I mean, I'm trying to
by
show them we're
time?
not hostile. And that-
Okay.
so if you want to call it persuasion, then
Yeah,
persuasion.
you roll. Yeah, roll persuasion.
22.
Okay. They
I say persuasion.
they look at you, and one of them stops and howls, and then they all advance on closer to Lars. So they don't do anything to you. They don't advance on you. They howl and ignore you completely.
Has he done something to you?
They're not engaging in conversation or
Can I understand
communicating.
the howl
Um,
with speak animals, I mean?
yes, with speak animals you can. They're calling out to their leader. They're calling out to Gimrock.
Okay. That's good.
So I'll turn back. I think we should probably stay out of this.
Can I interpret at all what would go with this guy? They look like they're about to murder us?
You look at this guy, and he is standing there. He appears to be human. He's got red hair, a long beard.
He doesn't match the painting of the guy we're looking for,
That's what
does
I
he?
was just about to ask.
He doesn't look like Emil. No.
Okay, good.
He shouts out, "For God's sake, help me! Please, help me!" And he's backed up against this
Who are you?
wall. My name's Lars. My name is Lars. Please help me.
What have you done to these walls?
We're going to move down the initiative order, so they haven't got time to answer. He's just screaming for help. These two move in and make an attack on Lars, and you see them reach out and try to bite him, and as they lurch forward, you see these huge jaws, these enormous teeth slashing out, and just so 23 to hit, just rips huge chunks of armor, and there's blood, and he's knocked prone down on the ground. The next warg moves in and again goes to bite him. Okay. Calm actions.
Yeah.
So they're trying. Harleen, you're up next, and then Quinny. So Bash, I'll just move you forward so that you know where you are.
Probably my full 35.
Yeah, up there somewhere. There you go. Maybe a bit more. Yeah.
Harley probably wouldn't really know what to do, so she would hold an action
Yep.
until one of our lot got into the fight, sort of thing.
Okay, you staying where you are? Are you moving?
No, I'll stay where I am just now.
Okay. No worries. Quinny, you're up.
Can I tell if these wargs are mechanically mechanically beasts or humanoids? Like half my spells will just fail if I cast them on the wrong thing. So I'm not sure that's a thing I'd be able to know.
You don't. They're not beasts
Okay.
Mechanically.
Cool.
They are not
That's good
beasts.
Awesome.
Can
I again,
mechanically they're monstrosities.
Oh, that's an interesting one. That just screws me around always.
Just for chits and giggles.
So
Sorry.
with this, with this book that I have, I've got the one
Yep.
cast of dominate monster on an evil thing.
Yep.
Do I innately know if something's evil and that will work on them or not, or how does that work? Do you think?
So I roll insight on this as a situation.
Would be very keen to.
Yeah.
Fantastic. 28.
Okay, with a 28, you actually don't get any good or evil of these
very
creatures. They are acting as a pack. You get more of a sense of evil, for want of a better, off Lars.
Okay. Is Lars armed?
He does appear to be armed, yes.
One of my big spells. I don't think I will do that.
Somehow restrain him or something.
I can restrain here. I can't.
Lars has got Lars has got a big spear that he's sort of kind of brandishing unsuccessfully in their general direction.
Quinn is just going to go with insight. I'm going to cast. Did I not prep Entangle? That was a stupid decision. No, I have Entangle. I'm going to cast Entangle just on Lars.
Okay.
Can they please make me a strength saving throw?
Yeah. Strength.
He's no longer stealing from the rock.
That would work.
14.
No, this guy's
Failed. He becomes
When he
restrained.
got a sense of the evil.
Bunch of roots from the
He's not
thing near him.
Okay. He is now prone because they've knocked him prone, so he's prone and restrained. Okay.
And then, if I can,
Yes.
I'd yell out. If I've got my speak animals on, I'll call back in whatever language they're speaking and say, "Can we talk about this?"
They
They would have noticed you pinned him to the ground.
Yep. So the wargs around all in unison howl, but don't make any attempt to move away. They're all looking hostile and attacking at the moment.
Oh,
But they
sorry. Entangle's a concentration spell.
Speak with animals as well.
Well, less of the speak with animals, more the magic weapon, which was. I don't want to drop that third level spell.
I was going to say, you would know that, so you can make a decision. So he's still prone.
Elemental weapon. No, I don't want to retcon that. I'll drop. Yeah, no, I'm so sorry. If it's alright, I won't cast that Entangle because it makes me lose that third level spell.
No worries.
In which case, I can't do a ton of their monstrosities. I'll call out, can we talk about this?
Yep.
Failing that, can I do a check if there's anything coming towards us?
There is nothing that you can see. You can see that there's a huge. There are more war off to the east. One of whom appears to be huge and immense. Like these are big creatures. These are large creatures. One of which appears to be even more large than its counterparts.
That's wild. Cool. I don't think I can do anything then.
Okay. The other two warg go to
Butterfingers.
go to attack Lars with their bites, one of which crits.
Oh, Lars is in trouble.
19 damage on Lars.
Well, we're not interfering with someone else's.
Yep. Done in a second. Yeah. So it's 33 damage to Lars.
He's
A lot of damage.
He's looking a little rough.
He's looking peakier. And it's Lars's turn, and you see Lars sort of uses half his movement to stand, and then starts to twist and shift. He starts to twist and shift, and then you see this werewolf standing where Lars was, and he sort of lunges back at the nearest warg, trying to claw and trying to claw and bite at the nearest warg. And so he looked bleeding, but not nearly dead or severely damaged.
In good shape.
He looks in reasonable shape. Yep. Malachi, you're up.
I've just got a question.
Yes.
Does enhanceability work on your spell checks? So it gives advantage on one of your checks. So you can go wisdom or intelligence or truth or something. If I did that wisdom, would that work on the spell checks?
No, because it's usually that's a spell save. Usually,
Is that enhanceability?
yeah, it doesn't work on spell attacks.
Only skill checks, I believe.
So it's only on
There's a couple of
perception
level
and
spells that give you advantage on spell attacks, but not a lot of them.
and all the all your spell saves. Yeah, all your spell save stuff. You wouldn't want anybody else to have advantage on anyway.
Yeah.
If you gave me the one for charisma, my persuasion be an advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I use enhanceability all the time.
Yeah, it's a performance
It's a
based.
great spell. It's not great for combat.
Yeah, it's great in social situations.
I've got a 4th level spell on the Druid list, which is Guardian of Nature, which gives you advantage on your attack rolls and stuff. But it's a 4th level spell, and I don't have it prepped at the moment.
I think we're werewolf.
Well, we're
So has he
attacking
fully
wolves.
transformed?
So he has transformed into Lars's He's used his.
If we take him out,
Took some damage, has used half his movement to stand up, turned into a really pissed off looking werewolf, and started to attack these warg who are encircling him.
So I'll move up to next to Bash.
Yep.
Sorry, Emma, could I
and fire at
Yep.
guidance
just move
bolt,
30 foot towards us.
which would be an 18 plus 26 to hit.
Hits.
That'll be 14 radiant damage. And
To Lars.
To Lars, and advantage on the next attack against him.
Okay.
Sorry, Emma, can I be to the left a bit? I just
Yep.
don't want to be near people.
What you were about to turn into.
Well, I haven't even picked yet, but
No,
it's going to be something
no,
good. We're in a nice open space.
I was going to use vicious mockery, but then probably insulting the wolves as well. So.
I will stick you over there by that tree.
No, not you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's pretty much what he was going.
Okay.
Yeah, better not.
You see this sort of trio of
Son of Morris with
huge warg start to move to this sort of rocky outcrop up there. So you can see that Lars is at the bottom of that, and they sort of encircle from the top, and certainly what you would assume to be this Gimrock warg is much bigger than his than the other. Vash, you're up.
do I go for damage or do I try something funky? I'm going to get 35 feet closer.
Yep.
I'm going to go for fun. And can Lars make me a wisdom saving throw, please?
He can. 7.
Fails. I command Lars to grovel.
Lars growls. You've noticed he's not screaming anymore. He just growls this sort of animalistic growl.
The actual point and go, kneel!
And he drops to his knees.
Also, Emma, talking
Yep.
to animals isn't concentration, so I can still have that up. If
That's
that's
fine.
okay with
Yeah,
you.
of course it is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I assume I cast that every hour because it's at will, so why wouldn't we?
Why wouldn't you? Chatting to bunnies.
Yeah, I imagine Quinny just chats with most animals she runs into.
Yep. Valid.
And that's it.
Okay. All right.
Like a Disney princess.
Like more.
So again, all these top 2 warg go to take a swipe.
He should have advantage now that he's...
He's already prone.
no, he's still up.
He stood up, but he's been lit up. So they have advantage, and they've got pack tactics, so they get advantage. So they've got like advantage with advantage.
Advantage squared.
I didn't do any damage, but I'm mighty clear that I was helping.
Yep. Their first one misses.
I didn't want to interrupt their kill.
Their first one misses with advantage, which is really annoying. Second one hits.
Because the train doesn't know how. That's fine. Right. Kill Seal.
Okay.
You don't kill Seal.
No, kill Seal.
Harleen, you're up.
Holly, we'll probably just move forward.
Yep.
Toward her action.
Mm-hmm.
That's action in the middle, right in front.
Oh, for goodness sake. It's alright. It's decided it doesn't want to let me move you. But whatever. Yep, okay. Move up by Vash.
30 foot forward.
Yep.
I'm just holding an action.
And you're holding an action to...
In case he starts running towards this way to try and escape,
Stop.
to then try and stop him.
Okay. So if he tries to... so if he heads in your direction... fine.
That's not strong.
Yeah. If he runs towards
It's for
him,
whatever
then
reason,
he'll
it's
connect.
decided that I'm now a player, not the dungeon master. For some reason, it's lost connection to the internet, but whatever. Okay, so that's fine. So you've moved up to Vash. We'll leave it as it is. You move up to Vash and hold an action. Quinny.
What is the big one doing?
The big one is watching. It's watching. It appears to be intensely aware of both what's going on and what you guys are doing. So it is watching what's playing out at the bottom of this cliff, and it's watching what you're choosing to do in relation to that.
This guy was the head of the wolves, is that what we were told?
So you would assume that this is the head of the wargs.
Okay.
He looks like a very big warg, and they appear to be the other 2 warg at the top appear to be flanking him in a sort of
I might give a
protective
bow
way.
or some sort of like very polite acknowledgement of them. You know, a bow or a nod or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm going to do anything. I will hold a thorn whip similarly if that guy tries to run away, but otherwise I think I'm going to just
Okay,
stay and watch. I'll move 30 foot directly
Yep.
north.
fine. Yep. You move up. The 2 lower warg both try to attack Lars with their bite. 1 hit, 1 miss. And he passes the strength save. So he is looking very bloodied, but is just about still standing and snarling as opposed to prone. He tries to attack back. And misses and crits. So he misses with his bite, hits with his claws, which is a 4. for a grand total of 4 damage. He literally, it looks like he's scratched this warg on the nose, and it just sort of bares its teeth and looks angry. Malachi, you are up.
He's going to move up another 30 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And will that put me within 60 feet range?
Yeah, easily.
He will attack him with a scorching ray and basically say, that's fine, let's finish this bastard off.
Okay.
And so that he'll throw 3, all 3 at the die.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a crit on one.
Oh.
20, a dirty 20 on another.
Hits and hits.
Will be a miss, I imagine, with a 4 and 11.
Mm-hmm. Hit, miss. Or
Cool.
crit, hit, miss.
So the crit will be 21 fire damage. And the other one's 10 fire damage.
Okay.
1 fire damage in one go.
Describe what happens to this werewolf as you finish them off.
Okay.
His first one.
So the first one, I reckon the weaker one hits him in the chest,
Mm-hmm.
like cinders him a bit. And then the second one goes over his shoulder and misses, and then the third one goes down his throat and makes his head explode.
Okay, so as this guy's surrounded by wargs, you move up, so 30 feet into that space between those 2 southern wargs, so that you can hit him. You hit him once in the chest and land him back against that wall. Second one goes just over the shoulder and hits that tree trunk, and the third one goes straight down his throat as he snarls at you and blows his head back. And as you do that, this leader, this warg, sort of throws his head back and howls in what can only be described as a joyful laugh. And you watch all the other warg, when that happens, sort of stand down
So
and
are we out of
just
combat?
turn. Yeah, you're out of combat.
So
Stand and look at you.
I will cast Healing Word on the wolf that got injured.
You cast healing word on
It's
the
a
wolf.
minimum
So
of 6, so
Yep.
it's fully hit.
you get his very small scratch that is trickling, like he may or may not need a band-aid. It sort of dries up, and he nods at you appreciatively. I will go with that.
Can I give them a formal greeting in Sylvan? I don't imagine they speak Sylvan, but I'm hoping they recognise what it is.
Okay, you can give a formal Sylvan greeting.
At the moment, Bash finishes doing that. As soon as he finishes casting his spell, puts his hand behind his back.
Okay. This huge warg starts to walk down this sort of cliff path towards you all, and all of the others fall in line, like a sort of almost like an arrowhead behind him, sort of flanking. This is clearly the leader of these beasts, and he walks down and thank you for your assistance, although I think we had it covered. It is rare that we see people of any race or creed in these mountains. What brings you here?
Honestly, the werewolf problem. We hear that there's been a change of leadership in the local pack. And it is a distasteful change in leadership.
It is.
Mildly.
It is indeed, and he looks at you, Quinny, and goes, Faye, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Lesser, but yes. Not
We
here.
liked the Fae. We see few of them anymore.
I am deeply sorry to see their absence in this land. I hope to restore them eventually.
We have been allied with the werewolves until the Great War, many centuries now ago, when Strahd, and he always spits the word out.
At the mention of Scar's name, it's actually stood on the ground.
They all howl. Recruited them to his side, and there has been a great schism, a divide between us and the werewolves since that time. But many have retained our ways and have kept to themselves in these forests and these mountains and done little harm. But more recently they have been kidnapping and hunting in the towns and the villages. They must be stopped. If you kidnap and murder children, people follow soon after to find out where they have gone, and people bring hunters, and we do our best to avoid being hunted. We live and let live, keep ourselves to ourselves. They are bringing danger to our front door.
We would see them leadership changed as well.
We would actually like to see the old leader reinstated if we can find him. He was more akin to yours.
I believe so. More recently, there have been scouting parties to find our den. The pack with this Lars has attacked our brethren. They have come to our home and attacked us in our home.
Perhaps you should repay them in kind.
And as you've seen, we are more than happy to assist you.
Roll persuasion.
Can I give a help action?
Yep.
We come with all the strength of druids and the church and blade and...
26.
No, I'm not going to mention vampires.
Vampires.
Just in case.
Vampires and hammers.
There's only one vampire helping.
26. I
You got guidance?
will,
You have guidance?
Yeah.
if you can find Emil and the previous leader of this pack
That's why we're here.
and return him, I will commit our forces to aiding you in taking back the den.
Wonderful. Real quick, the guy who's been hit with Scorching Ray, is he dead? Or
Oh,
is
he
dying?
is dead.
Cool. Never mind then.
I think I know where he has been taken.
That would be the most useful information.
There is a watchtower high on the pass
You have heard of it, yes?
further north. I saw them take a wolf up there before they returned to the den without him. Shortly after that, the attacks on our people and the attacks on the towns and villages started. You may find him there. If you can bring him back to our den, we will aid you in taking back his pack and reinstating him as leader.
Where is your den so we know we have to greet you?
And he sort of tells you where the home of the war would be, and you have our thanks. I cannot guarantee you your safety in these mountains. There are many dangers, but you will be welcome for now in our home. And if you bring back a more reasonable leader, we will help you installing him.
I think he was unrightfully deposed in the first place.
I don't think there's much righteousness about us.
And with that, they turn and they just scatter into the forest. And very quickly, there's no sign of them.
Well,